You can do role play at a party and people won't find it weird, which is amazing. They'll just think it's a board game, but it's a role-playing game in disguise. So hello everyone and welcome to another episode of World Building. Today we're still doing another board game / role-playing game review. This one is kind of a limit in the role-playing universe because it's like the least role-playing game that is still a role-playing game. Yeah, it's a really, really good game. It's based on a game called Mafia originally, which I never played, but it's a really good version of it for sure. It's a game that everyone, I think, in France and Quebec has played and have, because if you see the success that Among Us have, you can just imagine that every French person has played Among Us before, and that game was just called Garou in French, Garou de Thiercelieux, and in English the game is called The Werewolves of Miller's Hollow, which I never heard anyone playing in English, but it's an amazing game, and I think everyone should still play it.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that we're French Quebecers, so that maybe plays into it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a French game from France, but it's still really popular in Quebec. The game was designed by a really popular game designer from Paris, and it's a great game. So it's going to be a short episode for sure, because it's a really, really simple game. As you can know, maybe you don't know how the game is played. Well, you all have a card, and people don't know what if you're either a werewolf or a human. You all close your eyes, and then the werewolf open their eyes, vote on someone that they want to murder, and then the next day come, and people need to vote who they think is the werewolf. So it's literally Among Us, where you report the body, and then it's the same concept. Presentation, we'll start there. Dylan, go ahead.
Okay, so I think it's a really good presentation. So basically, it's a small booklet, the same size as the cards. So you have the cards and the booklet is the same size. It is a grand total of 20 pages. It's readable. It's color. It's simple. Basically, the only thing I would say that is not good for it is that it's a bit small. That's the only thing I can think of that's not positive about it.
I would say the same thing. For me, I think it's a really beautiful game. It's really easy. It's a great Christmas gift. I don't know. It's a game that I don't know a single person who doesn't own it. So it's kind of weird to review. But I guess our American friend maybe don't know it, our international friend, maybe not everyone knows it. But it's a game that I really recommend everybody to have because of the presentation. It's easy. And if you want to introduce people to role-playing, it's a great way.
It's a quick game. A game is what, 15 minutes?
Yeah. So how much did you give it for presentation?
For presentation, I gave it a 9.
For me, I gave it an 8. I do find the booklet is pretty small, and I would prefer, I don't know, a larger booklet. I guess that's it. For me, it's really frustrating to read. So for playability, so I'll start for this one. This game has a big problem for playability, which is not that big, but it's just if you don't have a good DM, it doesn't feel like a role-playing game at all. Like this game with a bad DM just feels like, I don't know, it just feels like a boring board game. So you need a good DM. You need someone who had the information, who, plays with it a bit, and all these things. It's super important. So I would say that. So I give it an 8 out of 10. You can go ahead for playability.
I gave it a 7 out of 10 for playability. It's easy to get into. It's really the big problem with it for playability is that you need 8 players minimum to play. So that's not easy. Well, especially now in COVID times where it's almost impossible. And that's why people fall on Among Us or things like that, where it's almost the exact same thing, but you're on the internet. So here you're in person with, let's say, 8 people or 10 people, and you play this. So really what holds it back is how many people you need to play it. You really need to have those players for this game to work, because it's an intrigue game.
Now go ahead for mechanics.
For mechanics, again, it's really simple. It doesn't go really that much in depth into any mechanics. But what mechanics it does really well. So I'm giving it an 8 for mechanics.
Now I'll go into mechanics. For me, it's really simple, really effective. It's kind of like Tetris for me. It's such a simple idea, but so well performed. And for a role-playing game, if you want to introduce people to role-playing, once again, I think it's the best option that you can do. And just for that, for me, I give it a 9 because I think it's very simple, but it's perfect. What I would say is add more stuff, which they did with the updates, but it's still limited because of how the game works. And for the mechanics, being able to play tabletop among us is always amazing. You can hate your friend afterward. This is really a friendship destroyer game, which is a perfect for that.
Not like diplomacy.
But we'll talk about this one a little bit later. So for immersion, what do you have to say?
Okay, so for immersion, that's where I'm going to mention the DM. The game master really has everything to do with immersion. If you don't have a good GM, you're not going to have a great experience, and you're not going to have a very immersive game. So it all depends, and people that don't have great DMs around them don't like this game because the game is not immersive for them. But when you get a great DM that describes everything well and gives a good atmosphere to the game, I think it can be really effective.
So how much did you give it for immersion?
I gave it an 8 for immersion.
Yeah, for me, I gave it a 6 because I think it's way too dependent on the DM. That this game is its own thing at the same time. So for me, it makes it really hard to get good immersion because a lot of time when you're going to play, the meneur de jeu, the not DM, will be just, a regular guy just reading out the manual and just telling stuff. And you're going to play in the kitchen and it's just going to look like any other game. If the surroundings not here, if you don't have ambience music, if you don't have a good DM, this game has terrible immersion. You really need to have all these things together. So unless you have people that are a fan of role-playing game, playing this game, if you just have, regular people who don't know role-playing game, you can get a pretty bad experience, which I had in the past a lot because, as I said, this game was wildly popular. I've played in high school sometime and even in primary school, sometime it happens like you're 6 people in the cafeteria playing Garou, which is something that we understand. But yeah, so this game is good, but it has its issue. And this is, for me, one of the big ones is immersion, for sure. If you compare it to other role-playing game. If you compare it to a regular board game, well, actually, it has good immersion compared to that, but compared to any other role-playing game, it has really bad immersion. So I would say 6 out of 10.
So for supports,
for supports, I think it's great. They have new updates coming on. They release new updates sometime, which is good. They have beautiful websites. You can play online. This is really cool, especially in these times of COVID. I think it's pretty important.
It's accessible anywhere.
Yeah. If you live
here
in
at least
French territory.
Yeah, here at least every store has it.
Like
so
every store.
Not difficult to find.
You can go to like a Canadian Tire and you'll find it. Pretty sure you can find it anywhere. It's really an easy game to come by. Even games that don't specialize in board game might have it. For us, it's like Monopoly. It's like, it's everywhere. You go to Walmart, it's there. Like, this is that kind of game. For us, anyway. I know it's not the same everywhere, but for people who don't have this game as possible. I really recommend buying it. So I'm going to go into the price tag just for support because I feel that goes a little bit in that. The game is $15 and it's a good investment. It's a good game. I think everyone should have.
Yeah, just to whip out at a party.
Yeah, you can do roleplay at a party and people won't find it weird, which is amazing. They'll just think it's a board game, you know, but it's a role-playing game in disguise, you know, which is the great part of it. If you want to trick people into role-playing, get this game. So for me, I gave it a 9 out of 10 for support. Leyland, you can go ahead for support. And
I give it a 9 out of 10 because, again, the online community is a bit lacking. But since here at least it's available everywhere. That's really good.
And it's a really good game. So
yeah.
Yep. And they release updates and stuff like that. So I really recommend you pick it up.
So what's your total score?
My total score is 80%.
And I have 79. So pretty close.
Pretty close. Yep.
Would you buy this game? I think you already answered, but would you buy this game for $15?
I think I lost my last one, so I would maybe have to buy it again. But I think my girlfriend.
I've already bought 2, so.
Yeah, that's just how this game is, right? You need it. So you see, it's really the best game. I think that every DM in Quebec has tricked their friend into role playing by using this game. It's always it's such a thing that you do. And when you talk about role-playing game here at least, when people don't understand what a role-playing game, you're just like, well, it's like Loups. And then they're like, oh, okay, I understand. Okay, so you play a character, and you're like, yes, exactly. It's like Loups. And that's just how it works. It's just such a classic for us. So I think that's it. We gave it a pretty good score, 80 and 79. And I'm super happy about that because it's a game that's really important for me. So like this video, if you like it, write a comment for the next game you want us to do. And also write a comment just for helping us and share this video. And we're going to have all the links in the description, Patreon, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal, website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
We're not linking everything in the description.
We're gonna have a special link for if you want to buy Calamus, click on that link. We have links for merch. We have links for everyone's profile ever, and we have links for everything. So if you need links, they're all in the description. Tell you everything. But just if you write a comment, like, and subscribe. Once you're done that, then you're gonna have all the links you need. That's how it works. It's magic. Just like, comment, and subscribe. And if we get at least 1 like on this video, I'll add 1 more link.